Today, a new brand of atheism is on the march.
It's very public, it's very in your face, it's being promoted, it's being supported through a publishing industry.
In previous generations, these conversations have taken place in the ivory tower of academia. But now, it's no longer just happening in universities. It's no longer just happening in graduate classes. It's happening on Comedy Central.
Atheists are using shows popular with young people to get their message out. Christopher Hitchens appeared on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart to promote his book, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything.
If you can call somebody a man of faith or faith-based, it seems for the moment like a compliment. I want to change that.
Evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins appeared on the hugely popular Colbert Report, as did atheist Sam Harris.
What do you mean, the end of faith? Is faith ending, or do you believe faith should end?
I think it should end.
They will attack people who believe in a transcendent source, a transcendent being, with a level of violence and venom that is, I think, unprecedented.
Christopher, I'm not sure if you believe in heaven, but if you do you think Jerry Falwell is in it?
No, and I think it's a pity there isn't a hell for him to go to.
The tone of the Dawkins book, I would call, and I'm a professor of literature, I'd call it a screed, which is a genre of literature that is highly emotional, poignant, it is full of attacking.
Paul Voss is a professor at Georgia State University. He comments on Richard Dawkins' book, The God Delusion.
The title of the book gives it away, right? That the people who believe in providence or who are theists are delusional. The people who believe in God, the 85 or 90% of Americans, according to most polls, have something wrong with them, and that they need to be throttled. They need to be yelled at. They need to be shamed. They need to be held up to scorn in order to get them to modify and change their behavior. I mean, it's really, his diagnosis is really that these people are ill at some level, that they're delusional.
Richard Dawkins has even launched the Out campaign, urging atheists to come out publicly by wearing a scarlet letter A and urging religion to keep out of science and the classroom.
This comes on the heels of tolerance, how we need to learn to live and let live. And now the animosity of Hitchens and Dennett and Dawkins and Harris is unbelievable. I lecture at Oxford 3 or 4 times a year, and Dawkins is from there. You know, he's actually gone on record as saying they shouldn't even admit students who believe in intelligent design and creation. This is at a university where the motto is, "The Lord is my light."
Not only is the new atheism intolerant and militant, but many say it hasn't even bothered to do its homework. John Turner is president of Faith 2.0 Ministries and a teaching pastor at the Bridge Church near Atlanta, Georgia.
About a year and a half ago, I was flying back from North Carolina, and a guy came and sat down next to me, and he turned out to be a first-year professor of philosophy at a state university near where I live. I end up saying I'm a theologian, and he immediately wants to know if I've read a particular book, one of these books that we've mentioned, because he had been the graduate assistant for this author, a very well-known atheistic author.
Turner said he hadn't read that particular book, but had read many books by other leading atheist authors.
And he kind of looked at me and said, "Aren't you afraid to read any of these things?" And I was a little bit taken aback by that, and I said, "Why would I be afraid?" And he said, "Well, because it might cause you to question some of the things you believe." And I said, "Well, if what I believe can't withstand a few rudimentary questions, then it's not worth believing. I question things all the time. That's my job. I'm a professional Christian, for crying out loud."
When Turner asked the professor if he had read any leading Christian scholars, he got a very different answer.
Ravi Zacharias, Alistair McGrath, J.I. Packer, N.T. Wright. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And he had not read any of these people. So he was totally unfamiliar with a good, solid, rational, academic, responsible Christian perspective. Well, he catches up to me at baggage claim, and he says, I'm a little embarrassed. And I said, what would you need to be embarrassed about? And he said, I'm embarrassed that you know my field better than I know yours. And I'm embarrassed because I've made fun of people like you. I have acted as if to believe some of the things that you believe, you would have to check your brain at the door, and you've clearly not done that. Here's a guy telling a group of young people that atheism is better than Christianity, and he's never even read anything from a Christian perspective. And he admits this to me, and he tells me that embarrasses me. That is telling.
Also telling is the way many atheist authors lump religions together, equating Christianity with radical Islam.
I challenge Sam Harris in my book, if you really think there's no difference between Christianity and Islam, why, I dare you to go and present your talk in Saudi Arabia. You know, he won't take us up on it because the chances are it'll be his farewell speech. It is only the Judeo-Christian worldview that gives the possibility of all of these worldviews free access to the marketplace. So the very system they're attacking gives them even the voice in order to attack it. I think that's the irony of all of this.
Despite the glaring flaws of atheism, it has become the dominant secular religion of today's universities, and Christian students are too often falling victim.
75% of our young people, by our young people I mean from evangelical churches, according to the Barham survey, are losing their faith in college. 75% of them.
Norman Geisler is a theologian and author of the book, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist.
They're going away to college, and they have a Sunday school knowledge of Christianity and apologetics, which is pretty thin. And they're going to people who have PhD levels and attacking it. Who's going to win that battle?
To stop the attrition, says Geisler and others, the church must start teaching apologetics and a Christian view of the world from a young age.
It's so important for churches and parents to partner together to help our children grow up with an understanding that there are good reasons to believe why we believe what we believe. There are good, solid, historical, scientific reasons for us to believe what we believe.
Instead of being pessimistic about the future, I try and teach my children to be optimistic, and that we've got to fight the good fight. We have to take our intellect into the public sphere, and we have to be articulate and persuasive, and we have to be ready to engage in civil discourse to defend our beliefs.
And ultimately, as history proves, the truth will prevail.
The Christian faith is an anvil that has been wearing out hammers for 2,000 years. It's going to take more than Sam Harris or Richard Dawkins or Dan Brown or whoever the next guy is to unravel the faith.